to the ever lucky 13th episode of My Dog Will Eat My Face in Season 2. So, I have to first off apologize to my listeners that I did not publish earlier last week. The issue at hand was purely technical. For some odd reason, I had a total blow up of what I was using to record my voice, and I don't want to bore you with the details, but it took some time to fix. At the end, it all kind of hinged on some mysterious problem that I could not fix, which then suddenly, knock on wood, fixed itself. I swear, some of this technology is just black magic, you know. I need to sprinkle some dragon dust and threw in some, I don't know, cow liver, and maybe open up a cab and study its entrails for auspices for Saturn. I don't know, because it just changed on its own and fixed itself, so to speak. So, huge knock on wood. I pray to God that that's funny coming from an atheist. I sincerely hope old habits die hard, huh? I sincerely hope that the issue does not come up during this podcast. If it does, I don't know what I'll do. I might have to cut the podcast short and do a deeper dive. I literally don't know what I'll do. So, let's move forward, hoping that doesn't happen. In this episode, it is sort of a health update that I want to provide, but not really, because I want to talk about one particular thing, one particular symptom that nobody in their wildest dreams thought to talk to me about when I was positive with CHF. And it floors me beyond words that no one had ever mentioned this as a symptom to me. And that's what is called syncope. If you're a sufferer of CHF and already know what that is, bravo. You were way ahead of myself just a few days ago, because I didn't know what it was, but I definitely experienced it. I just did not know there was a name for it, that there's a name that described exactly what was happening to me. And so that was an interesting eureka moment. But let me first describe what it is, and then I'll get into how it relates to me and how it might relate to others with CHF. So, we'll start there. So, starting with definitions. Syncope is basically, at face value, simply fainting or falling and fainting. That in itself is not too interesting. I've mentioned fainting as a particular component of my suffering, of what I deal with the disease, for quite some time, where I could just be doing something and then the next moment faint. Well, apparently it's widespread enough to where it has a word for it. And that is, of course, syncope. Syncope is the word that describes the process of fainting or collapsing or whatever have you that hits a person suddenly, without warning, and can last for a long period of time. So I've had moments where I pass out at, like, my computer desk, say. For example, I've used this before. Last week I was working on my taxes. This isn't, thrilling work, but I would think I wouldn't pass out from it. Maybe it is so boring. It is something that one could pass out from. But I was out for a good 3 hours. Another example is the next day. I talked to my father on the phone for about an hour. I hung up, I sat on the sofa, and was playing with the dog, just goofing off, giggling, playing with the pooch. No big deal. And next thing I know, I come to sitting full back on the couch, and the dog looking at me in sheer terror. I'm like, what the hell? And I look at the time, and it had been 5 hours since I last remembered looking at the time, which is when I was playing with the dog. So I passed out and lost a big chunk of time, 5 hours. And then the day before, 3 hours. So you could lose a day, theoretically, off syncope and not even realize it. So it has, unfortunately, increased my overall symptoms. And the cause of it is, from what I read, is low blood pressure, or sudden low blood pressure. And for me, that's really scary. Not for the obvious reasons, but for other particular reasons of my anatomy. And you'll have to let me jump into that here now to describe why the low blood pressure in me is not a match made in heaven. Now, in my case, when it comes to blood pressure or overall pressures inside my chest cavity, they are rather unique and troublesome. In fact, the pressures are so high inside my chest and lungs, that is the very reason why I was declined for surgical intervention by multiple hospitals and entire surgical teams at these hospitals. I mean, one surgeon gave a long presentation to a round table or classroom like medical school setting, presenting a plan to intervene on my body, and then the surgical board voted on it, and it was just unanimous, no, it's too risky. And that's because the pressures inside me are so darn high. And at first sight, you might think, low blood pressure, then, well, that's not you. And if you have low blood pressure, that's actually a good thing, right? No. Oh, no, 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 no. You see, when they take your blood pressure through your arm, they're reading, I think, only the left side blood pressure. And that is actually pretty expected to be rather low on one side. And then high, or I take that back, it's supposed to be high on that side and low on the other side, low on the right side and high on the left side. Now, I could have that totally mixed up. I didn't go to medical school. The point is, one side is high, one side is low. Got it? Got it. Okay. So if the blood pressure on the high side drops too far, it can be at equilibrium with the pressure on the other side. So think about what happens then. The heart acts like, well, it doesn't act like, the heart is a pump. It's all what it is. It's a pump. And the best way, the only known way for pumps to work is to have a high differential in pressures between one side and another side. And that's why human beings have such divergent pressures between their two sides in their chest of pressures, of blood pressures. So, if my pressure drops too low, that means that pretty much it's nighty-night time for me. It's nighty-night time. I faint for sure. I collapse for sure. And if that differential doesn't somehow remanifest, the proper side does not just inch barely forward, a little bit stronger than the other like it's supposed to. If it just does that, then we can still get a heartbeat. But if it's equal pressure, that's really bad. And see, normally it's not much of a risk. Other people don't have such extremely high pressures inside their chest. I do. So, since it's so high, if the other side drops in pressure, it can get really close to the parity with the other side, and that's pretty much lights out. At that point, the heart can't pump. The heart stops. that can happen anytime. But this was explained to me as the conundrum many times when I went in for procedures by anesthesiologists. They looked at me and saw a huge challenge because they, in their own words, said, we have to walk the tightrope of putting you under for your procedure so you're comfortable, and also not letting you get your blood pressure too low so you don't die on the OR. I've been told that flatly. That's what they're trying to do. I've been told that many times. Now, honestly, that's what they do for everybody. But the point being, for me, it's a serious challenge because the pressures will run so close to one another. And I think the pressures encroaching upon each other is what's causing the symptoms that I'm experiencing. That is the syncope blah. Syncope. And again, what that symptom is I could be playing a computer game, I could be walking to the kitchen, I could be walking the dog, I could be taking a shower, it could be anything I'm doing. And syncope can happen at any time. And I just lose it and collapse. Apparently, sometimes for hours. So, that's something that has increased dramatically in my life and has been a major problem with me recently. It's appeared while I was doing my taxes. It's shown up when I was just walking to the kitchen, and then what followed was a nasty fall. In fact, it manifested multiple nasty falls because I was just in the midst of walking somewhere, and suddenly my whole body went limp, and I just dropped to the floor and was unconscious in all these times for a long period of time. So that's what that is. So if you, please, listener, if you do anything, if you see a heart patient or a CHF patient in particular, and you notice them fainting, don't write it off as laziness. And if this is happening to you yourself, don't write it off as laziness. See a cardiologist. It could be a sign of syncope, and that's potentially very deadly symptom. If I were a betting man, I would bet that's probably what would kill me, or will kill me, I should say. So, be aware of that. And see if they offer some sort of solution for you that can gingerly manage that if this happens in your case. Now the question is, what does this mean to me or people in similar situations? Well, to me, it really changes nothing. The only thing different is that I am more aware of something that has already happened to me in my life, that is sudden passing out and whatnot. So that's the good news, I guess. I just don't have any other choice but to keep fighting and to keep a stiff upper lip and try as hard as I can to retain some quality of life as these additional symptoms arise. There are others that I was told that I get to quote unquote look forward to, but I feel like if I just get into those here, it's just going to turn into a horror story. And I don't want that. I don't want people thinking, ooh, they're going to get that because some guy mentioned it, but I don't want them to realize it's not. So, yeah. It really means nothing to me, at least. I have to move forward. I have to be strong. I have to fight as much as I can. On the plus side, I won't know it when it hits. Unless I come to and I'm still in a state of delusion, which can happen. That's happened, and it's far more terrifying. I've had other issues with that. It tends to be around states of psychosis. And those are far more terrifying than anything else I've ever encountered. Where it's like you're underwater and you're full on hallucinating and you don't know it. You know, the Pope's playing the banjo in the corner and you don't think that that's slightly odd. It's seriously just like a dream. It's just a dream. So, you know, it's okay. I have to just tell myself that it will be okay. One day, I'll fall into my eternal peace. In the meantime, it's going to be a hell of a fight. And if I dare to ask, why me, why me? The empty skies answer back, why not you? So, I'll take the poured salt as it comes, so to speak, and I'll see it through and I'll share new experiences such as this one with you folks as they come up. And this was one that totally surprised me, again. So I wanted to suspend a podcast mentioning that. I'm telling you what it is. You're more than welcome to Google it. I don't care. It's Syncope, so it's got, funky spelling. It actually starts with a P. And it's just spelled C. No, I'm sorry, it starts with an S, actually. Never mind. I even confused myself. See how complicated it is? It does start with an S. But, yeah, and the spelling's actually not that crazy. I lied. Don't listen to me. The spelling for it is, if you want to Google it, is Syncope. Go figure. Perfectly phonetic. So I totally lied when I said it was wacky spelling. I don't know where I got the idea that it had wacky spelling. I must have been thinking of something else at the moment. Anyway, yeah, so as these symptoms come up and dog me, try to keep me down, I'll share them with my listeners, with you all, and keep you aware of it as much as I can until the bitter end. That's my goal. Up to the very bitter end. So, with all that being said, I think I have said enough for this week. The prior podcast went a little long, so I think this one will be a little short. It will achieve Zen when combined. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, I think with what I said, I shared what I wanted to share, which is this symptom, what it is, what it does. And I chose to share it here because I was totally unaware of it with heart failure, and I was therefore one of my listeners who have heart failure or know someone who does are totally aware of it. So, that being done, I think I shall retire for this week. The sad part is it takes a lot of energy out of you. I spend, oh, golly, Bell, almost 20 hours a day in bed. So it's hard for me to get up and make the podcast, but it's my goal to keep doing it, to make sure you guys get a clue as to what it's like. But if you like the podcast, definitely click follow and click on notifications, turn them on, so you're notified of future podcasts, of future things. And if you really want to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/mydogwillyeatmyface. I'll post a link in the description. Hopefully, I will retain no more technical issues. And with that being said, auf Wiedersehen.